Welcome back to AetherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex, and today we're diving into one of the most transformative and honestly most regulated developments in enterprise AI, Agentic AI and Multi-Agent Orchestration. If you've been following AI news, you've probably heard these terms floating around, but what does it actually mean for your organization in 2026? And more importantly, how do you stay compliant with the EU AI Act while scaling these systems?
Great question, Alex. The timing here is critical. We're not talking about ChatGPT anymore. We're talking about AI systems that work autonomously, make decisions without human intervention for every action, and coordinate with other agents to solve complex problems. And that's exactly where EU regulators are paying close attention.
Right, so let's start with the basics. What actually is agentic AI, and how is it fundamentally different from the generative AI most people are familiar with?
Traditional generative AI, think ChatGPT or Claude, is reactive. You prompt it and it generates a response. Agentic AI is proactive. It perceives its environment, sets goals, makes decisions, and executes actions autonomously. A generative model is like asking someone to write a report. An agentic system is deploying an autonomous worker who conducts research, analyzes data, writes the report, validates it, and escalates issues when needed.
That's a huge shift. So what are the core capabilities we're talking about here? What makes an AI system actually agentic?
There are 4 defining characteristics. First, autonomous goal achievement. The agent pursues objectives across multiple steps and adapts based on feedback. Second, environmental perception. These systems integrate with real-time data sources through what's called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG, so they can access databases, APIs, and current information. Third, decision-making authority. Within defined guardrails, the agent executes decisions independently. And fourth, self-correction. It validates its own outputs, retrieves failed tasks, and knows when to escalate to humans.
Okay, so that self-correction piece is interesting. The agent checking its own work. But here's what I'm thinking. If an agent has that much autonomy, especially around decision-making, doesn't that trigger all sorts of regulatory red flags?
Exactly right. This is where EU compliance becomes non-negotiable. Under the EU AI Act, generative models are typically lower risk, but agentic systems with autonomous decision-making? Those fall into higher risk categories. You're looking at impact assessments, extensive documentation, monitoring frameworks, and audit trails. The 2026 enforcement timeline means European enterprises can't treat this as optional anymore.
And according to recent data, enterprises are definitely moving in this direction. How many companies are actually exploring this?
McKinsey's 2025 AI survey found that 65% of enterprises are exploring or piloting agentic AI systems. The primary use case? Autonomous workflow automation. That's everything from finance teams deploying agents to process invoices and flag anomalies, to marketing teams using agents to analyze customer segments and optimize campaigns in real time.
65% is substantial. Now I want to understand the orchestration piece. If companies are deploying multiple agents, which makes sense because you'd want specialized agents for different tasks, how do they all communicate without chaos?
That's where multi-agent orchestration comes in, and it's where a critical 2025 development matters. The Linux Foundation's Agentic AI Foundation standardized something called Model Context Protocol, or MCP. Think of it as a universal translator for agents.
Okay, I like that analogy. So without MCP, what would happen? Would agents just be talking past each other?
Essentially, yes. Without standardized protocols, you'd have proprietary integrations between every agent pair. Compliance agents talking to data processing agents talking to reporting agents. It's fragile, hard to scale, and from a governance perspective, it's a nightmare. MCP enables decoupled, interoperable architectures where agents operate independently but coordinate through a standardized interface. That's huge for EU compliance because it makes auditing and monitoring the entire ecosystem tractable.
So MCP essentially solves both the technical integration problem and the compliance problem simultaneously?
Exactly, and that's what we're calling AI lead architecture, an approach that embeds governance compliance from the ground up, not as an afterthought. For European enterprises, this isn't just best practice, it's becoming table stakes.
Let's talk about the regulatory pressure. You mentioned the EU AI Act has a 2026 enforcement timeline. What does that actually mean for organizations still in the planning stages?
It means the window is narrow. From an enforcement perspective, the EU AI Act's 2026 timeline is real. Additionally, the Digital Omnibus, a consolidation of multiple regulations, is creating compressed compliance timelines. Organizations that haven't started building governance-first implementations now are going to be scrambling in 2025.
So this isn't a wait-and-see situation anymore.
Not at all. The regulatory environment is moving faster than most enterprises realize. And here's the thing. Compliance isn't just a legal checkbox, it's also an operational necessity. When you're orchestrating networks of autonomous agents, you need to know exactly what they're doing, why they made decisions, and how to audit the trail. That's not burden, that's smart engineering.
That's a really important reframe. Let's get practical. For an organization looking to implement agentic AI and multi-agent orchestration, what should their first steps be?
Start with governance architecture before deploying agents. Define your risk categories. What are high-risk decisions that require human oversight versus lower-risk automated workflows? Map your regulatory obligations under the EU AI Act. Then, adopt standards like MCP from the outset, so you're not retrofitting governance into legacy systems later.
And on the cost side, I know enterprise AI deployments can get expensive fast. How do organizations optimize the cost of running these agent networks?
There are several levers. First, specialize your agents. A single monolithic agent is expensive and hard to manage. Multiple focused agents, each optimized for specific tasks, is more cost-effective and easier to govern. Second, implement intelligent caching and context reuse. Agents shouldn't regenerate context every execution. Third, monitor and meter token usage rigorously. And fourth, leverage custom frameworks optimized for your specific workflows rather than generic solutions.
So specialization actually benefits both cost and compliance.
Exactly. An agent designed to verify compliance is smaller, faster, and more reliable than a generalist agent trying to do everything. You can audit it more effectively, tune it more precisely, and it requires fewer computational resources.
That's a powerful insight. As we wrap up, let me ask, for enterprises that are still in the experimental phase, what's the one thing they should prioritize right now?
Build compliance thinking into your pilot projects now. Don't separate AI innovation from regulatory compliance. They're the same problem. If you're piloting agentic systems in 2024 and 2025, ensure they're architected for audit, monitoring, and governance from day one. That foundation pays dividends when enforcement kicks in.
That's really clear guidance. Sam, thanks for walking through this with us. For our listeners who want to dig deeper into specific implementation strategies, cost optimization techniques, and compliance frameworks, head over to AetherLink.ai and find the full article on agentic AI and multi-agent orchestration. We'll link it in the show notes. Until next time, this has been AetherLink AI Insights. I'm Alex, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thanks, Alex. Great conversation, everyone.